The Vikings, a seafaring people from Scandinavia, first arrived in Britain in the late 8th century. Seeking wealth and new lands, the Vikings began raiding and settling in various parts of the island. Over time, the raids turned into full-scale invasions, and the Vikings eventually established several kingdoms in Britain, including the Kingdom of Northumbria and the Kingdom of East Anglia. One of the most significant battles in the Viking conquest of Britain took place in the year 865. This was the Battle of York, where a large Viking army led by the legendary brothers Ivar the Boneless and Halfdan Ragnarsson challenged the Kingdom of Northumbria. The battle was fought in the streets of York and was a brutal, hand-to-hand struggle. Despite being outnumbered, the Vikings emerged victorious, and the Kingdom of Northumbria fell to the Viking invaders. Another important battle took place in the year 991. This was the Battle of Maldon, where a Viking army, led by the Norwegian Jarl Thorkel the Tall, faced the forces of the Anglo-Saxon Lord Brydenith. The battle was fought on the banks of the River Blackwater in Essex and was characterized by acts of great heroism on both sides. Despite being vastly outnumbered, the Anglo-Saxons held their ground, but ultimately, the Vikings emerged victorious, and the Anglo-Saxon forces were forced to retreat. The Viking conquests of Britain were significant events in the island's history, and their legacy can still be seen today in the place names and cultural influences that remain in the areas where the Vikings settled. However, the Viking rule in Britain was short-lived. As time went by, the Vikings faced increasing opposition from the native Anglo-Saxons and the newly arrived Normans. The Vikings were eventually forced to surrender their holdings and assimilate into the local population. Despite this, the Vikings left a lasting impact on Britain. They brought with them their seafaring skills, which allowed them to trade and explore new lands. They also introduced new forms of government, art, and religion to the island, which helped shape its culture and history for centuries to come. In the centuries that followed, the Vikings continued to play a major role in European history, as they expanded their conquests to France, Italy, and beyond. They are remembered today as fierce warriors, skilled sailors, and daring adventurers, and their legacy continues to inspire people around the world. In conclusion, the Viking conquest of Britain was a seminal event in the island's history, marking the arrival of a new and powerful force that would shape the future of the country and its people. Though the Vikings were eventually defeated, their impact on Britain and the wider world cannot be overstated, and their legacy lives on in the stories, legends, and cultural influences that they left behind.